All right, everyone, welcome back into another Fantasy Golf video. Going to be breaking down the BMW Championship here for you guys, which is going to be kind of a fun event. You know, Caves Valley is where this event is going to be played at, which is a course that we don't typically see too often. So it's not going to be kind of the cookie cutter weeks that we typically do have, except for the fact that this is a 50-man field event. So it is somewhat pretty straightforward as well in that regards in terms of the process, but how we get into our plays will be fun to break down. So with that, let's go ahead and get into it. And so just looking at this course, guys, it is a course that has gotten a little bit lengthened. And what I mean by that is we did see this course in 2021, which really delivered one of the more memorable tournaments, I would say, over the past 5 years, especially in terms of the playoffs. I honestly, besides the Scotty Scheffler, John Rahm putt for the Tour Championship, I don't think there's a more memorable playoffs event, just because there was a playoff. It was Bryson versus Patrick Cantlay. Bryson kind of choked a few occasions away, and then you kind of had the whole Patty Ice narrative, which is pretty much why he is called that. So the vibes are actually going pretty well for Patrick Cantlay going into this, coming in off of a good week, maybe someone we will consider. But this is a course that has done a little bit of redesigns. I don't think we have to worry about that too much. The course has been lengthened a decent amount, but mostly on the par fives. And so we should know at least what to be looking at for this event. And so let's go ahead and get into course history. Obviously, this is going to be more of comp course history this week. And so what we're looking at is going to be the 2021 results. Okay, we do want to be looking at that. I do think it's going to be important for golfers to have had some course experience and obviously some good course experience as well. Now, after that, we do have to get into some comp courses. Again, we don't see this course typically that much, so we're going to get into some comp courses. I think the PGA Championship from this year, the Memorial Tournament, and then the Tour Championship from last year are the next three best courses for comp courses we should be looking at there. And then I do also think we could take a peek at potentially last week's tournament as well as a little bit of a comp course as well. That's going to be in H5 there as well. And so when we look at the top stat fits for this week, guys, we are basing it a lot on the 2021 results. Okay, so what was interesting in that tournament, birdie or better percentage, golfers did need to be scoring. Total driving as well, both being long and accurate, ended up being pretty crucial. Strokes gained putting as well was one of the more key stats, which a little bit surprising. That's 2 weeks in a row now. And then 200 plus, which again, with this course being lengthened a little bit, I actually think we're going to see that be a more key stat this year compared to what it was in 2021. And as well, we do want to be looking at some par 5 scoring. That's kind of the fifth key stat that we're looking at there. I would say no shocks in terms of who are the top stat fits when we look at it in that regard, guys. Scotty Scheffler and Harry Hall. It sounds weird to say, but two of the hottest golfers, right, over the past 3 months or so, just playing great golf, as well as Tommy Fleetwood. And then after there, Chris Goddard, Russell Henley, it does become kind of equaled out a little bit there in terms of what we're looking at for good stat fits. Now, when we go ahead and get into recent form, it's going to be more of the same in regards to which players are going to be the top stat fits. Go figure, right? That is kind of how it goes. Now, Matt Fitzpatrick did have a kind of a lackluster week last week, finishing 32nd after starting off pretty darn hot. It seemed like it was going to be a massive week for me personally. PGA DFS wise, in round one, just everyone played well. Typically speaking, when round one AM wave is going extremely well, you can just bank on the PM wave to suck. That did not happen in round one, and by a nice twist of the fates, the fantasy golf writers changed the script a little bit. They're like, all right, we're going to give you guys a very good first round in general. And then Matt Fitzpatrick's going to fall off. That was a fine week. Obviously, Akshay played well for us. Scotty played well. We were banking on that. Harry Hall ended up doing what we wanted him to do there as well. Robert McIntyre sucked pretty much. But kind of random results with Justin Rose and JJ Spawn both winning that week. Well, in a playoff, Justin Rose winning. You guys get it. But yeah, so when we look at recent form, Matt Fitzpatrick's popping up in there. Harry Hall continuing to play great golf. 15 straight make cuts for him, guys. Basically finishing around top 25 each week. And I think if we get a top 20 finish out of him this week, obviously we would love that at his price tag. Chris Goddard had a bad week last week. A little bit of a shock there. 7 straight make cuts for him. We'll see. I don't know if I'd necessarily want to get to him this week concerns price. Tommy Fleetwood continues to play great golf. It'll be super interesting to see how he responds this week after another disappointing week. We did see it from his near victory. He did fall off for a little bit there with the 34th and 16th place finish. So he would be a great click had he not choked away that victory. I do worry about his mental state with that choke job. Xander, still playing great golf. 22nd place finish last week was pretty darn disappointing, though. That's kind of been the theme of Xander Schauffele this year, pretty much. It's like, all right, when it seems like he has turned the corner and returned to prime Xander, that's when he gives us a disappointment. Bear, finally playing some good golf. Okay, for most of the season, as you guys know, has not been someone we could click on at all. There's been like 1 week. What I mean by that is he's been overvalued by Vegas, by DraftKings, to the point where for DFS and for betting, it's just like, all right, we can't do that. Sure, he won and mixed in there as well, but still, he was overvalued that week as well compared to how he was projected to play. This week, he's kind of in play. Hideki's interesting, continuing to play great golf, guys. 8 straight make cuts for him. Top 20s all around the board. Kurt Kitayama, Harris English, going to be interesting clicks for us there as well. JJ Spawn, very interesting stuff there with him. Victory, 2nd, 6th. Ben Griffin. I mentioned this a decent amount, guys. Ben Griffin had those 2 lackluster starts in there, and I kind of mentioned the worry with him heading into those events was that he had played too many events, and it's just like, all right, now he's had some time off. How will he respond? He finished 11th after having a little bit of time off, and then he finished in 9th. So, I think we're okay trusting Ben Griffin again, and he's at a price tag that's going to be interesting. Sam Burns has been playing great golf, although we need more upside from him. After his choke job as well, it's kind of been the theme of this year. He's fallen off pretty much. Sure, he finished 7th, kind of choked that away as well at the U.S. Open, 2 straight weeks. He's fallen off, so it'll be interesting to see how he plays Robert McIntyre as well. You guys get the point. I do want to take a quick peek, though, at the golfers that are the best specialists. So this could be something we default to a little bit this week as well, considering the fact that it is a course that we typically do not see that often. Okay, so looking at that, just factoring all the key course characteristics right now, Scotty, Fleetwood, Keegan, Connors, Burns, Rory, Xander, I would say not too crazy. The player that does stand out to me a little bit is actually JJ Spawn. Okay, pretty good specialist. You got Harry Hall mixed in there as well, Matt Fitzpatrick. So some interesting plays, especially considering their price. But with that, guys, let's go ahead and get into the top plays for this week. So yes, guys, it's a very interesting week in terms of strategy. The strategy is either we're paying up for Scotty or we're paying up for 2 other studs. Okay, so we know what the process is for DFS purposes in these weeks. It's studs and duds. No cut events, studs and duds. We can actually get away with that with Scotty, even at this high price. Now, I'll show you guys this at the end of the video. And I should also mention that we do have a good lineup we can get to as well without Scotty as well. So it's a very interesting week. I'm actually curious at the end of the video when I show you guys that, let me know which one you think is more in line with your approach for the week, because I like the lineups that I was able to make doing that. But yeah, Scotty, guys, obviously the class of the field. So I talked about the comp courses that I'm looking at. He won all of them. He won all of them. He's also the top stat fit in birdie better percentage and 200 plus. He's checking all the boxes. It's simple, right? I don't need to touch on this too much. And so with that, again, he is going to be a core play. I do think it's going to be pretty easy for us to fit him into our builds. It's pretty simple. Click him and you're good to go. But again, we'll show you guys a different process if you guys don't want to play him. Now, from there, it does open up a little bit. I do love the pricing of Rory. I think Rory, we saw that kind of hangover after the Masters, kind of predictably so, and has played well now, 6th, 2nd, and 7th. Now, the flip side of that is that, okay, you knew he'd be mentally prepared most likely at the Genesis and also at the Open Championship. How will he be this week as well? It's interesting. I do think he can find motivation, though, in trying to win the Tour Championship again. And I don't know, is it too soon to make a Happy Gilmore joke with Rory? Have enough people seen the Happy Gilmore 2 to make a joke about him and Bryson at all? There's a joke in there somewhere. I don't want to make it if it's a little bit inappropriate for some people. But I will say, I've touched on Happy Gilmore a little bit. He was probably the worst actor, right, amongst the golfers. Scotty was a little cheesy. He was pretty bad as well. Bryson was bad. The top golfers were all bad. Xander killed it. And that gets us into Xander again. Okay, so he did. He dominated the Happy Gilmore scene. I enjoyed that scene as a Xander fan, obviously, but it was funny. Anyways, I do worry about Xander a little bit this week, actually. Concourse history, not the best. Okay, that 22nd place finish last week did suck, especially considering his pricing. I mean, it's not terrible grand scheme of things, but obviously at this price tag, you want him to have better results. And again, it seemed like he was trending in the right direction, and then that did not end up happening. You would think this would be a good course for him, but if he is still, at this point in the season, trying to figure out his game, a little bit worried about it. Okay, so Tour Champ, I kind of wanted to play poorly, honestly, but enough that he obviously ends up in the top 30, which who knows? But if he does end up making the Tour Championship, which I would assume he's going to, I kind of want him to do just enough to make the Tour Championship so we can get him at a cheap price tag, because obviously he dominates that course. Now, from there, guys, I mentioned Tommy Fleetwood, the great play on paper. We don't know how he's going to be mentally. So from there, we can drop down. Russell Henley is someone that definitely sticks out, has some good comp course history, terrible result at this event 4 years ago. But he's someone that really pops, just playing great golf, guys. 4th best staff in the field as well. Mentioned Sam Burns is interesting. JJ Spawn is interesting. Sure. But the player that I keep coming back to is actually going to be Ben Griffin. Okay, again, with Ben Griffin, I do think he's someone we could potentially bet as an outright winner. Okay, 40-1 is an interesting number for him on FanDuel and some of those other sites. And if you are not playing Scotty, I do think you are probably starting your lineups out with Ben Griffin, which who would have thought that at the start of the season? We're in the playoffs. We're saying Ben Griffin here is a starting point for a lineup at 9K as well as the caveat there. But yes, he's had a great season. We know that. Mr. Max Fly has been getting it done. And again, we looked at the scheduling, guys, and we're like, okay, really disappointing at the John Deere Classic. Really just choked it away, obviously, on the final holes there to miss the cut. I do think if he had entered that event, maybe with a week off, I don't think we get that maybe mental fatigue for him to end up missing the cut there with some sloppy play at the end. And then I do think that carried over at the Open Championship. Also, it was the Open Championship, not really a course you would necessarily expect him to play well at. And then he bounced back at the Wyndham and then played really well last week as well. And so I think he is a golfer that clearly on paper is basically checking all the boxes, minus those two events, right? With Scotty, we always see green across the board. With Ben Griffin, we have two outliers. Those were those two starts that I just mentioned. Other than that, a phenomenal play on paper. So I'm a little bit surprised that we're actually getting him at 40-1. Okay. Using the comp course history, best comp course history in the field. 13th best in recent form, 7th best staff hit, 11th best specialist. Checking all the boxes. Which, again, I do want to say he is not technically a core play because I'm paying up for Scotty. And you guys will see why later on in this video, who else I'm targeting here. But I am kind of treating him as a 5th core play for this week. Again, Scotty or not means Ben Griffin. Now, from there, we jump into the mid-tier. Matt Fitzpatrick was very much a disappointment last week. I would almost say he's a better outright bet this week than he is DFS play, just kind of at his pricing. We can get him at about 21-1, which I don't like. Again, comparing him. Sorry, we can get him about 37-1 there. Lower or about the same as Ben Griffin is interesting. Comp course history is fine. Very strong staff hit. Again, he is someone that is top 11 or better in all the key metrics that we're looking at. Ben Griffin, top 13 or better in all the key metrics that we're looking at. Then we could go up to Scotty and you can make a lineup with him as well. I mean, that's pretty darn crazy. So again, fair and balanced or not fair and balanced. The question with Matt Fitzpatrick is going to be, though, did he just get hot for a stretch in there? Because he had been playing some great golf, or was that just like a one-off and he just kind of struggled there on the weekend in a no-cut event where he just wasn't grinding it up? I think it's more of the latter, and I think we see him play well this week again. Now, Hideki, I do think is a fine, solid play on paper. He's been playing great golf. I'm fine with that. Corey Connors, no clue what we're going to get out of Corey Connors. He has been kind of more hit or miss this year, even though he has made 17 straight cuts now on the PGA Tour. Harris English is someone you would expect to play well, guys. Recent top 5 finishes there. 13 straight make cuts for him as well. He's fine. Robert McIntyre, very disappointing week last week. Don't know exactly what to do with him. The issue that I have with the mid-tier, which has kind of been the theme lately, is why mess with them, especially in a week like this? Sure, Harris English is appealing. Sure, Matt Fitzpatrick's appealing. Keegan, if he wants to have any Ryder Cup chances for him to be able to justify himself as a pick, he has to win this week. I'm not even saying finish top. He has to win. There's no way he can justify himself right now at all. He's gone. He's out. He knows he's a choke artist. That's why he's playing like shit right now. I'm sorry, Keegan. We love you as a person, as a player on the golf course as well. You're just not clutch. Okay. Can't trust you. America wants to win. Probably shouldn't be the captain as well. If it wasn't for Netflix, you wouldn't be. Does that mean? Is that mean? It's true. Might be mean though. Again, we love Keegan. Who doesn't? Good guy. but he has to win this week. So I don't know if you guys want to get to him a little bit in DFS for that purpose. You can. I don't know. Is he looking ahead? Honestly, like, he's been playing terrible. There's no way he can justify himself being on the Ryder Cup as a player. But now we jump into the low tier and talk about a player that is very much going to be a lock for the Ryder Cup, I think, already. But he had a 22nd place finish last week as well. I think he's pretty much secured a spot. That's going to be Harry Hall. So again, guys, Harry Hall, I'm going to be treating as a core play this week. So he is in the third best form in the field. Again, just playing extremely great golf. Top 25 or better in all of his finish. Well, top 28 or better in all of his finishes recently, which we like. Now, if you extend his form out to the last 15 events, he's 24th in the field in recent form. Last 10, though, second, and last 5, fourth. So obviously playing great golf. 13th best specialist in the field. We look at the comp course history, 19th, okay, which is not terrible. And that was at the PGA Championship. He is best in the field in strokes gained approach and second best in the field in birdie or better percentage. His worry, stat fit wise, is his total driving. I would say, obviously, 31st in the field there. Love his price. And heck, if you wanted to mess around with him as an outright bet, maybe that's something you could potentially target at 61. I wouldn't, though. I do think he is just more of a safe play for DFS purposes. Maybe you can bet him to top 20. And I should mention, yes, a little bit of the core plays right now at this point in the season are more price point play core plays. Okay, that was what happened with Akshay last weekend. That obviously ended up working out for us. That's going to be true for the next two core plays that I'm going to mention here. And that other one is going to be Kirk Kitayama, who's obviously been playing some pretty good golf, won the 3M Open, obviously had more of a hangover there, I would say, at the Wyndham Championship, 31st place finish there. That was the next week. And then last week, bounced back in a top 10 finish. And so that was kind of the question is, all right, how would he respond after that kind of, we naturally typically give a player a pass on a week following a victory, and then we see what happens on their next week. Bounce back fine. And so I think we can kind of trust him as a play this week. And looking at it, guys, he does have limited comp course history. That is a concern. Okay, 76th at the PGA. Do not love that. But stat fit wise, very phenomenal there, guys. So top 12 stat fit in the field. He ranks third in the field in birdie or better percentage, fourth in the field in that 200 plus. And then his strokes gained, putting, and total driving is a little bit lackluster considering the field, but all in all, not terrible there. And again, we are chasing the form with him. So now we continue on, guys. I do want to call it Taylor Pendrith. Taylor Pendrith is someone that has had a little bit of a strange year, had a little bit of a lackluster stretch mix in there. He has been a little bit hit or miss, but this should be a course that fits his game, and that is echoed in his comp course history, where he has a 5th, 12th, and 12th. Okay, like that there with him. Specialist-wise as well, 15th. And he does rank out top 30 or better. I think given the price that we're getting on him, and given kind of his upside when he gets hot, I'm okay with him as a play at this price tag. He is someone that I've ended up on as a shoulder shrug play. Same thing with Brian Harman as well. More of a shoulder shrug play, but 2 top 10s over his past 4 starts. That is something that is going to get us interested in him as a play. Now, obviously, what we are trying to do here is do studs and duds. We know that, right? And so who are some options down here in this range that we could consider? Ryan Gerard's a little bit interesting. He's actually not terrible in terms of total driving. Top 15 in the field there. Strokes gained putting terrible, but top 13 also in that 200 plus. He has excelled in the comp courses as well. 8th and 23rd. Recent winner, struggled lately. Most likely going to struggle here as well, but I do think this is a play where we can find him as a fine value for us to get to, especially in lineups that include Scottie Scheffler or multiple like top 4 plays in terms of pricing. So I don't hate him. Jacob Bridgman's a little bit interesting as well. Okay, given his pricing, I'm fine getting to him. I've gone to him a decent amount as well. But kind of the clear and obvious play, I would say, is Jonathan Vegas. And this is one of those ones where, for me, if it doesn't work out, I'm kind of okay with it. Because, well, he's a good enough stat fit across the board. Top 20 in the field. He's also 26th in the field in recent form rank. You look at how he ranks on the 9 to 5 mile, he ranks out 35th in the field. Okay, and so the whole purpose of Jonathan Vegas as a play is not for him to win. It's not really for him to top 10. It's for him to finish in the top 50% in the field or close to that. At least we want him to score. And the last thing, or at the very least, what we need him to do is outproduce his price tag. And I think that's what he's going to be able to do for us at the minimum. And with that, he does allow us to fit Scottie in, who, again, I'm betting on him to win. He's kind of not a hot take, but you guys get it. And so from there, lineup path-wise, what can we do? Well, we can still get to Ben Griffin if we want, who, again, was one of my favorite plays. And then Michael Kim was kind of the player I ended up on as min price. Kind of okay. Like, oh, well, that doesn't matter too much. Now, I do think there's a big gap between like Ben Griffin compared to Hideki, compared to Matt Fitzpatrick. Seb Strzok is out. Maybe Corey Connors, maybe Harris English, but we're trying to get lucky there. And so I don't mind this. I'd rather play Michael Kim, who not going to be a good course for him, but oh well. Hopefully he's just not a disaster. And then we're able to fit in some of the top good values that we have. Now, let's change this up. So obviously if we're not going with Scotty, that's going to open up a lot there. And then we're kind of able to plug in Rory if that's the route we want to go. Again, I do think he's going to be fine and ready to go for this event. Kind of takes the risk out as well. You still get Ben Griffin. You're still getting some other solid plays there as well. And you're not having to play Michael Kim. So those are the two I like a decent amount this week. Probably could get to like Russell Henley. Let's just try it. Russell Henley instead. Maybe we move up from Taylor Pendrith, and then we can also get to like Matt Fitzpatrick or Hideki. And that's also fun. And so let's say, for example, we are maybe just obviously looking at the 9-5 lineup builder. We could just do like studs and duds as an option here for maybe half of our builds. So it's going to prioritize the top price plays, and then it's going to prioritize the value plays. And so here's kind of what a lineup would look like per the custom model doing that. Most likely targeting scoring there. It does like Ryan Gerard. I don't necessarily like that, so I don't know if I'm going to plug that in. Let's see just what it likes the most in terms of the lineup construction. And actually, I don't hate this lineup, but I don't want to fall into that trap of playing fair and balanced. I do think we want to begin to Scotty a bunch. So that's probably the route I'm going to go mostly. And again, part of that appeal for me is just taking a peek at like the sportsbook page. In terms of our edge, we are actually getting a slight edge in the likelihood for Sky to win. Again, that's mostly just due to how well he has played in the comp courses. Tommy Fleetwood, I don't think we're betting to win, honestly. At this point, how can we trust him, honestly? I had him last week. I really did think that it was going to work for him. Typically speaking, when golfers are playing great golf, they tend to win. That has really not been the theme this year. It's been a little bit of a strange year in that regard. Just players choking. Sam Burns, Tommy Fleetwood. Xander you could get to as well, but I think really Ben Griffin and Sky Scheffler, that might be my only bets, honestly, for the week. We'll see. 4-1 Ben Griffin. Feel pretty comfortable against that. 3.3 to 1 for Scotty. If he wins, we're still making a profit. I think I'm okay with that. I think that's the route I will end up going this week. But that's going to do it for this video. Appreciate everyone being here, guys. Good luck with all of your lineups and all your bets for the BMW Championship. I'll see you guys there for the Tour Championship. That will also be a quick and easy video there as well. I do want to call it preseason is here for the NFL as well. I am covering that on my 9-5 Sports channel. Obviously, this is the 9-5 Golf channel. Check that out as well, guys. Had lots of coverage and lots of fun covering that last week as well. So just be on the lookout for that. Obviously, I touched on all the tools, or I used all the tools on 9to5sports.com for the preseason coverage there to touch on all the top plays and picks there. And obviously, you guys saw some of the tools here in this video that I use for fantasy golf. If you guys would like access to any of those tools, you guys can head on over to 9to5sports.com and get access to all those tools yourself for a low monthly cost of $10 a month. It's the best value out there for fantasy golf, guys. Take advantage of that. You guys will get access to all the tools I showed you, plus much more. And again, all for a low monthly cost of $10 a month. Thank you for watching. Good luck, and as always, let's keep cashing.